Hi, folks. You're Tacitus today, your pushback channel. And thank you for joining this audio, radio, no pictures live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you're driving along in your car or your truck, or put in those earbuds and listen to this as you're going along in public transport. In this essay, I'd like to talk about a number and quite a few, and you can see them online, international debates or supposed debates about open borders, which is a sort of a headline banner sort of thing for mass migration. Now, these debates supposedly are to argue the merits for and against mass migration, but as you can imagine, one side comes along with no facts and lots of talking points and lots of propaganda points, things like that. So the debate doesn't really go anywhere. Similarly, the moderators invariably tend to be activists that are at the least, very sympathetic to the mass migration thing. But all of them are, in effect, certainly those arguing for mass migration, open borders, they're all globalist shills. Now, I looked at a number of them, and there was some in Britain, some in Germany, Switzerland, the United States, Australia and Canada, and they could all be the same debate. I mean, there was almost no difference really in any of these debates. The moderators again were sympathetic or very pro the mass migration thing. The talking points were the same. The propaganda was the same, and also the type of propaganda. For example, any speaker that got up to talk about pro-mass migration, that borders should be open, every single one of them within the first 30 seconds had already gone to Hitler, Nazis, Holocaust already. I mean, every one of them, that was the first go-to. So if you're against open borders completely and totally, if you're against that or question it, then you are in favor of the Holocaust. You are fucking Hitler, you damn fucking Nazi. And so without what the relationship is between, so if there'd been open borders, then there wouldn't have been the Holocaust. It shows that every one of you was Hitler. I mean, the insanity of that nonsense. But every one of this isn't just that this particular debate went, went for the Hitler thing in 30 seconds, or that one did. They all did. Every single fucking speaker was already on to Hitler within the first 30 seconds. So that shows how weak their argument is, if that's what you've got to do. So the people talking against mass migration made a lot of sense. So let me just map this out. I'm not in favour of mass migration, just to sort of make my position clear. But do I think migration should be a real thing? Of course it should be. What's wrong with attracting skilled, needed people that are needed in the economy? What's wrong with that? I don't see anything. They want to integrate. They speak the language. They're skilled, recognized skills and expertise. Those skills and expertise are needed in the economy. What's wrong with that? Now, the trouble is with skilled migration and people that are able and want to integrate, that the numbers are very small. So, they're just not a lot of them around in the world. Or the first world standards, but on a relative basis, are very high. The standards everywhere else are very low and corrupt. Now, the West is under the globalist guidance is very quickly heading downhill as fast as it can to meet the low bar of the rest of the world. But for the moment, there's still vestiges of excellence that are remaining in the West. So for example, Australia it takes in 500,000 migrants plus, or in the last 12 months or so anyway. I think it's a bit more close, about 600,000. Again, all forced on us by the globalists. No one has consented to this. Nobody wants it. They're not needed. They're not wanted. They produce nothing. They create nothing. They build nothing. They're just parasites off the society built by white people. Anyway, so out of let's just go around numbers, 500,000. Out of that, maybe 20,000 are actually needed in the economy and will integrate and want to integrate and want to be part of the Australian society, about 20,000, give or take. Some people generously will say, well, it's closer to 30,000 per annum. Okay, fine, let's even run with that. but it shows the difference between 500,000 coming in and 30,000 coming into the country. Very, very different. And this is the same all over the world. The amount of skilled migrants that speak the language, if they want to go to Germany, they speak German. If they want to go to France, they speak French. So on, who have skills and capabilities and educate. There's very small numbers of people. There's not many of them around. So once you switch to skilled migration, the numbers suddenly go down very, very sharply. And this is what, of course, the globalists do not want. So they equate or try to equate, disingenuously, of course, they try to equate skilled migration with, that's it, you're Hitler, Nazis, Holocaust, fascism. And of course, this is quite absurd in every every imaginable way. But listening to speakers that speak against mass migration, their points are extremely valid. Why would any country invite in or allow in or choose or permit entry for people that have, at best 1 or 2 years of high school, and that's not to a high bar standard of education. They're illiterate, pretty much illiterate in their own language, many of them. They've got no desire to integrate or capacity to integrate. Why would you invite those sort of people in? So the argument's the same. If you don't want mass migration, you're Hitler. That's number one go-to. And you're personally responsible for the Holocaust. Retrospectively applied guilt on that one. People simply won't do that in the West. The people won't do those jobs such as mow lawns or clean toilets, that sort of stuff. So we have to bring in these peasants to do that work. That also is nonsense. There's plenty of people that will do that work, but the idea of if we bring in all these peasants, we can avoid market forces applying to salary and income and conditions and pay and that sort of stuff. And so it's good that we avoid market forces in a supposed capitalist economy. Well, no, it's not. That's not good. So then the lies come out. Did you know that migrants are the hardest working people? They start up all the businesses. They never commit crimes. They're the most law-abiding citizens. They pay their taxes. This and what fucking lies? I'm talking about lies upon lies. So you can dismiss. And there hasn't been, out of all the debates, certainly that I looked at, and I'm sure there's some that I haven't, but I couldn't find one valid reason why mass migration or open borders, as most of these things were titled or billed, that open borders was a good, worthwhile, a helpful thing. It was nothing. The only, these people are way better than you. And by the way, if you don't like it, you're Hitler. And that's not an argument. That's not a reason. I want to justify it. Tell me why. Because if it is a good thing, then I'll support it. I'm happy to change my mind. Illiterate drug dealing peasants coming in and living off welfare. Convince me that's a good thing, and I'll support it. Now, the arguments against it, of course, are quite cogent, and which is why the globalists always go for the Hitler thing straight off. As one speaker was saying, look, the first, everybody in the world wants to, all the poorer people from poorer countries, of which there are billions upon billions, they want to go to the rich top tier economy. Now, if you look at the top tier economies of the world, the likes of the United States, Australia, that sort of thing, Britain, then those economies, or the current population of those economies is give or take, 700 or so million. Now, there's middle economies like, I don't know, the Czech Republic or Poland or something, middle economy. And people will go there if you come from dirt poor thing, that's, okay, yeah. But really the goal is to go to the top tier countries and not the middle income countries. So we've got something in the order of 5.5 billion with a B, 5.5 billion people in the world all want to go to the rich white countries, or what we're all used to be white. There are rich countries like Japan, but they're not going to take this mass migration. So 5.5 billion people want to go to the rich. Now that's a what eight nine a nine 900% increase in the population of the West. So all the poor people flood into the West. The West would be third world very, very quickly if that were to occur. The economies of efficiency and structural efficiency and economic efficiency that the Western economies have developed over time, that model is balanced across a number of factors, homogeneity of the population being a key factor of that. So once that breaks down, then those places become third world shitholes, and the systems and procedures and processes and structures and edifices and so on will all come tumbling down, and the West will not be the rich top tier white West anymore. Maybe that's the objective, to try and I was talking to a guy from an Indian think tank just recently, and he seemed to think he liked the idea that the world would be that the rich white countries would all have to share their wealth with the poor countries, which would create sort of an international communist sort of average income for everybody, and all the wealth would be shared. But where he, as one of the Brahmin caste, would be at the there's the Brahmins see them the keepers of knowledge. He would, him and his class see themselves as being the morally and intellectually superior beings that would administer this. They would not be subject to those limitations or rules of having to share wealth around equally. But they're happy to take the white wealth and stuff it in their own pockets. But this idea that masses of people could come to the West without making the West poorer, whether it be on an overall basis, ultimately across the curve, or on a per capita basis, this is absolute categorical fact. And so the arguments put forward against open borders were very, very clear. Now, also, it's all a very one-way thing. That the advocates for open borders say, well, it's okay for dirt poor illiterate peasants to come to the West. It's got to be acceptable because everybody's a human being, and again, you're a Nazi if you're opposed, and that sort of stuff. But they can't point to any benefit, whereas the disbenefits are quite clear and can be argued. So looking at these debates, the other than invoking the Hitler thing and the Holocaust and all that sort of stuff, none of these debates imply or suggest or can prove or indicate or uphold this idea that open borders are worthwhile. And this idea that wealth is limitless and can constantly be subdivided amongst billions upon billions of illiterate, dirt poor, IQ 75 peasants without any wider effect on the host population of the white countries. This is something that they can't, well, they avoid talking about, but seem unable to comprehend, the sociology, college kids and that sort of thing. Now, I'll add on this immigration thing that the wealthy people, that we know in Australia who constantly say that mass immigration is a good thing, and they just parrot the talking points that these people at the debates do. And then just talking to ones, we were driving along in his car, and this is a guy who's got multiple, several multi-million-dollar houses, this sort of thing. And we're going along, and he's talking about mass migration, how he wants it to be even higher because it took him too long to get someone to come and clean his pool, I think it was. So he then says that he wants this mass migration, but then adds, I don't want them living anywhere near me. I don't want them, in my street harassing my wife. I don't want those people dating my daughter or this or that. I don't want them selling drugs to my son. So as long as they stay over that other side of the city, that's fine. And they can, millions more can come in, but just don't want them anywhere near me. That's what support for mass migration is all about, is it? You've been a Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.